Hey, labor story time. And I cut my hair. It's gone, y'all. I love it too. I just can't wait to get the rest of my color. Like, so I get the rest of my color and get a fresh cut. It's gonna be on. Bella, yeah, as you can see, it's time for her nap. She just collapsed after I got her dressed. I'm about to go to work and she's about to go with my mom. So, you know, let's jump right into it. So, when I went into labor, it was unexpected just because the fact that the doctor told me I wasn't going to go on time. I was due September the 17th. I did not end up having Bella until September the 16th. As you can see, the doctor didn't know what he was talking about. So I went to the doctor September the 14th for my checkup, and it was one of those, hey, Miss Pearson, how you doing? I'm like, I'm doing good. How are you doing? Tay's in the room with us too. He's talking to me like, we're gonna have the baby soon. I'm like, yeah, I hope she's gonna be out soon, because I mean, I weighed 130 before I had her, and I'm 178 now. I can use a few pounds light, you know. So he was like, well, I have good news and I have bad news. I said, well, what's the good news? He said, good news is your walls are thin. I'm like, that's great news. Bad news is you're not gonna go on time. That's not good news. So, I mean, you're right. It's not good news, but there is a little bit good news and bad news in it. So he was like, so just make sure your bags are packed. And I'm like, okay. We leave there. I'm crying. I'm upset. Tay's like, it's okay, babe. She's gonna come out when she's ready to come out. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I wanted her to come out. You know, I'm ready to feel a little light and to get to hold my baby and kiss her and love her. He's like, I'm ready to hold her too. So I'm like, okay, I guess we're both in the same boat. It's the same day that Tay's grandmother passed away, so we went to the cemetery. I say funeral. We went to the cemetery to go lay flowers on her grave with his family, and they're all excited that it's almost time for us to meet Bella. And we're probably out there walking for like an hour, just going to visit other people who passed away that we knew, who we grew up with, or who we're related to, and we ended up going to Applebee's afterwards. We went to Applebee's, and I'm taking like 2 pills, I think, at the prenatal, and my allergy pills, because at the time it was like really, really like horrible for my allergies. I think I was sneezing about 20 times just in one whole day. But I was taking those 2 pills at the time because somebody asked me, well, what was I taking during my pregnancy? It was just those 2 pills. But we had a good time at Applebee's. We ate, we got drunk, we cracked jokes. We had a great time. And we ended up leaving late, so I ended up just taking Tay to work the next day because we didn't get enough time to stop and get any gas in his car. So we ended up going to his job the next morning. It was like 6 a.m. in the morning, and I was rubbing my stomach. I was like, my stomach is kind of tight. And he was like, it's okay. I said, yeah, I know. I said, I'm just going to go back to the house and roll up my hair, because at the time I took out my sew-in. And I didn't want my natural hair to be all over the place. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to just go back and roll up my hair, and then I'm probably going to eat something and lay down. So I ended up calling him once I made it back in, and we were on the phone talking, and I wasn't realizing that I kept sitting down. And I was like, Tay, I keep sitting down. My stomach keeps tightening up. Like, he's like, just go eat you something. It's probably your stomach. You're probably just hungry. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But I ended up just going to sleep right after I got done rolling up my hair. So after I rolled up my hair, after I went to sleep, I woke up. My stomach wasn't in pain. I called Tay and I was telling him. I was like, yeah, so I'm back up. He was like, okay, how you feeling now? I said, I'm feeling pretty good. Can't complain. I was like, well, what if I was having contractions? He said, Mandy, just don't overthink it. I said, I'm going to call you back. I'm going to call my mama. So I called my mama, and she was like, what do you mean you kept sitting up? I said, my stomach was just, like, tight. She said, maybe you were having mad contractions. I'm like, yeah, maybe I was. She said, no, I'm telling you, you were having mad contractions. I'm like, you're not the doctor. You don't know what he told me. Doctors don't know everything. I said the same thing I told Tay. I said, who knows? I said, I'm going to call you back. So I ended up looking it up, and it was like the same symptoms that I was having. My stomach was tight. I couldn't stand on my legs without them feeling a little weak. And I was just like, okay, well, maybe it is it. So I called back Tay, and I told him, I think I was having contractions. He said, well, Mandy, you might be overthinking it. Just lay back in the bed. I'm like, you're telling me to lay back in the bed. I'm telling you, I'm thinking I'm having contractions. Like, neither one of those makes sense. So, no, I'm not about to lay down. I'm about to call my mom, and I'm going to figure out something. He said, okay, well, call your mom and call me back. So, I called my mom. By this time, I'm crying on the phone. And I'm like, I think I really was having contractions. What if we need to go to the doctor? She said, I'm on my way. So, at this time, we live in the same neighborhood. So, she's pulling up in the front as I'm trying to pack up my bags. And I ended up calling Tay back. I'm like, we're going to the hospital. He was like, come and get me. I said, I already called your mom to come and get you. He said, no, I'm not missing anything. You come and get me with your mom. So we ended up going to get him. Call his mom and tell her that we're going to go get him instead. She's like, okay, I'm going to meet you guys at the hospital. And we're like, okay. We get to the hospital and Tay and my mom, they bought me a foot long, but I only had 3 bites out of that. The nurse looks at my stomach and she's like, oh, Miss Pearson, you're 1 centimeter dilated. I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. My mom's not crazy. We was really going somewhere with this. And so she was like, so what we're going to do is just keep you monitored, and we're going to be looking at you from the desk and just seeing how things play out, and we'll go from there. So I'm like, okay. So we're on the room. We hear a woman screaming crazy. The lady comes back in. Well, the nurse comes back in. And she shows us the woman's paper. She was like, this is what her stats look like. This is what your stats look like. If your stats continue to look like this, we're going to have to send you home. Note, I live about 15 minutes away from the hospital. I'm not driving all the way back out here and then I'm in more pain than I am now. No, we're not doing that. So we start massaging my stomach, talking to Bella, like, Bella, mommy and daddy's ready to meet you, girl. Like, come on, let's go. Like, we're waiting. So she finally started kicking and responding to us. The nurse comes back in. She was like, we need to go get the ultrasound done. I'm like, okay. I was like, is everything okay? She said, we just got to check some things. She said, okay, that's what I thought. I'm like, what? She said, your daughter's learning how to breathe on her own. She's ready to come out. She's adjusting herself to get in position. So I'm like, oh, girl, you hear us talking to you. You're smart. I knew it. You're smart. So she sits up and takes us back to the room. By 8 o'clock, the doctor and the nurse comes in, and he's like, okay, we're going to go ahead and keep you. We're going to put you in the delivery section of the hospital now. And after we get you out of there, you should be having your baby by either later on tonight or later on tomorrow morning. I'm like, okay. We get me in there. I meet all my nurses. All my nurses are phenomenal. Like, from me being in the delivery room all the way into my actual patient room, like, they were great. I did not have not one nurse that was bad. I gave them all good recommendations. I said recommendations, reviews. And, like, they were really, like, awesome. Like, Suburban got some great nurses there. I love them. Love them. And I'll be back there to them. And I will want my doctor back, because my doctor, who actually gave my whole little operation and stuff down there, who stitched me up, he was really nice. His name was Dr. Ken. He was gay, but I loved it. I loved every minute of it, because he was just, you know how some doctors, they try to make you feel comfortable, but you don't end up feeling comfortable. Like, I feel like I knew Dr. Ken for a while. That's how comfortable I felt. We were having conversations and all of it. So I'm in the doctors. The doctors come in. I mean, the doctor for the night. I didn't have like one designated doctor. I had a whole group of doctors. So I was getting to know each one, but I'm happy with the doctor that I ended up with. So that doctor leaves out. They end up giving me just some pain medicine, because I didn't want to get the epidural too early and then I not be able to feel it while I'm having her. So they just can't give me like minor dosages of pain medicine. Tay and my mom end up leaving just so Tay can go get his bag and get his car, and then my mom can get her, we'll get my siblings together. So me and Tay's mom was at the hospital. She was my rock. She was holding it down. We were watching TV, then she kept telling me, Mindy, you need to get some rest. So I'm like, I'm trying to get rest, but I'm in so much pain. Like, me getting rest, it's not real right now. So we end up talking ourselves both to sleep. Tay comes back in the room. She leaves out. By 4 o'clock in the morning, I felt like I was in an exorcism. Like, I don't remember anything from the time she left all the way until then. That's how much pain I was in. I just know I hit that nurse button, and I was like, I need my medicine. Let's go. They escorted Tay out the room. He started getting upset because he didn't understand why he had to leave in order for them to do it. They just didn't want him to respond the wrong way to what they're about to do with the epidural. So he ends up calling his mom, Miss Shirley and Miss Jackie. They're holding me. One's in the back, one's in the front. They both keep me calm. As soon as my contractions go past, They stick me, lay me back down, and 5 minutes later, Tay comes back in with his mom. They both rub me back to sleep, and I go, and I'm just gone, like instantly. Then Tay gets him some sleep finally, and then by the time I wake up, it's 8 a.m. My nurse comes in. She's telling me how my breathing was because I was on an oxygen mask as well, just because I have severe asthma, and it got expanded to where it became more of a alert when I was pregnant than anything. And she was just telling me how my breathing was throughout the night, and tell me how the baby's breathing was, and she was asking me if I needed any popsicles or ice, so she brought me some. And then she also let me know that I was 6 centimeters dilated. By the time she's leaving out, my mother's coming in, and she's like, how you doing, how you feeling? I tell her what the nurse says. The nurse comes back in about 40 minutes later, and she's looking, she's like, hold on, can I just check something real quick? So she looks down there. Mandy, you're 9 centimeters dilated already. Like, whoever you need to call, they need to be here, because we're about to be coming in here to get you together. So by 11:40, the doctors and stuff started coming in, and Tay, it's now me, Tay, his mom, my mom, and the doctor, and 11 nurses in the room. And my mom is at the bottom. Tay's mom is on this side. Tay's on this side. He's holding my hand. She's holding my hand. They're all praying. I got the oxygen mask over my face now. And it's really like an emotional moment. I'm trying to push. Nothing's happening for real. And the doctor was like, either we can do a vacuum or we can cut you. And I'm like, what's the difference? The vacuum, you can have problems. Then this should have been an option. You know, like, I don't want no complications with her. Whatever you can do to make sure she's fine, do what you got to do. I don't even care about me. So he cuts. Only thing I feel is a jerk coming out of me, and nobody's seeing anything. Tay just starts praying before he cuts the cord, and I'm crying now. And Tay's aunt, she's also in the room, but she's on the phone. She's on IMO, and she's crying with me. She's like, you're doing so good, Mandy. I'm like, thank you. And then Tay cuts the cord, and I finally hear the baby scream. He looks back at me. He said, I didn't want to scare you, but she wasn't breathing. I'm like, don't ever not tell me that our child's not breathing. Like, he said, I just didn't want to make you feel like you need to panic or anything. I'm like, I understand that, but, like, she wasn't breathing. Like, I just busted out into tears again. I'm just like, this is so overwhelming. Like, I would never expect that all of this would happen just trying to have one baby. And I planned on having 5. I now plan on having 2 more kids, but it's just like one of those things that really take a toll on somebody if you're really not strong enough to handle it. And they finally brought her over, and she didn't open up her eyes until once everybody left that night. But Bella was beautiful when she came out. Like, she looked, always asked me, like, where did you get her name from? I'm like, well, Tay's grandmother's name is Beverly, and my grandmother's name is Ella. So I put those two together and make Bella. And then Renee came from my mom's middle name and Tay's mom's middle name, because they're both named Renee. So that's where her name came from. And like, I did the kangaroo, and I felt like that really gave us a good bond, because me and Bella were thick as thieves, but she's a daddy's girl, dead serious. Like, she's dad. It's sickening. But Bella's awesome. She's really a blessing. And in my next video, I'm gonna really be talking about, like, me going through postpartum depression. I'm sorry, it gets me a little bit emotional talking about it, but I'm gonna talk about postpartum depression. I'm gonna talk about me breastfeeding, and I'm talking about Bella having acid reflux. So me being a mother, it's been a lot, but you know, God doesn't give us more than we can handle. So that's one thing I have to put in the back of my mind whenever I'm dealing with anything. So hopefully you guys like this video. Hopefully next time Bella's wide awake, so you know, she could be in the video with me. And don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to review, don't forget to get on Instagram and, you know, tell us how you feel about it. Love y'all.